American Liberty versus the Gov's Tyrannical Shutdown, Episode 2.
See the link below to have this design printed on your coffee cups, shirts, blow-up dolls, and more.
To whom it may concern, I do not agree with everything that every protester does or says, thou knave. This should go without saying, but apparently it does not for all. This is what separates the half-wits from the intelligent. The sources used in this video may or may not be honest and accurate. We certainly do not take their word for it, and you should not either. In this age of almost universal deception from the media, you must learn to fact-check and evaluate sources for yourself. Ah, the terrible freedom! Yes, I know, thinking is hard. I have, however, done a lot of the work for you, as I will show you. And now I shall hand you, among other things, proof of some things on a silver platter. This is our webpage upon which this video is based. There's a lot on the webpage that we're going to have to skip over in the interest of time, but you can see everything by clicking on that link to this webpage in the description below. Now let's get into it. April 15th, Lansing, Michigan, the state capital, Operation Gridlock. 11:39 a.m. Reporter Austin Kellerman tweets this from Wood TV8 News. Note that this is not live, but not long after.
Surreal sight here in Lansing, Michigan right now, our capital city. We are right outside the Capitol building where the governor's office is located, and there is a large sign right here in the front that says security without liberty is called prison. These folks out here are wanting to express their displeasure. They're disdain with the governor's stay-at-home orders that have shuttered businesses all across the state and put a number of people, a lot of people, out of work. They're saying that they believe the governor has gone too far with her orders, and they're here to make that known. Now, Operation Gridlock, the idea was that protesters would stay in their cars. So we are seeing that part of the protest here. You hear all the honking in the background. People have been driving around. Their plan is to cause a gridlock, a stop to traffic here in the capital city. And as you see, there is certainly some degree of success with that. Cars have clogged this street here right in front of the Capitol building. And you can see the number of people in their vehicles. A lot of them have signs, and a lot of them are wanting their voice heard. Take a look here right in this window. It says homes are essential. So they're talking about this idea that only essential businesses and essential travel is allowed to take place here in our state. Many of them taking issue with what is defined as essential here and what is not. Now, the protests, again, designed to stay in the vehicles, but we're seeing a lot of people saying, nope, they're going to get out of their vehicles. They're standing about here in front of the Capitol. We did hear from the governor earlier this week. She was aware that this protest was planned. She believed that it was politically motivated, being paid for by some of her political opposition. Whether that was founded or not remained a point of contention among both sides of the political aisle. But she encouraged folks not to show up here. But it's clear that the folks you see gathered here, they're not listening to that request from the governor, and they want her to know that they're not happy with this stay-at-home order.
12:33 p.m. More from TV8 News in Lansing.
Operation Gridlock is underway, and we are in the middle of it. Take a look. We've got 3 lanes of traffic right now on Capitol. In front of the Capitol, people have lined up in their cars. They've come from all over the state, upset with the governor and the stay-at-home order. They say that they're ready for this order to be lifted. They want to get back to work. They want to get back to doing things that they love, like fishing and golfing. We saw a couple people who had boats. And take a look, the number of people goes down the block. People have been honking and gathering since about 9 o'clock this morning. The official protest just getting underway here. And basically what people are saying when we stop and talk to them is that they think that people are smart enough to make their own decisions to stay safe during this coronavirus outbreak without being told what to do. Ma'am, can you tell me, why did you come out here today?
I'm a state representative from the 102nd District, and I'm just here to support my people. I have a lot of constituents down here right now.
And what are your constituents telling you?
Pardon?
What are your constituents telling you?
They want to go back to work. If they can't access the website to get the benefits, then they want to go back to work. And nobody's suggesting we just go willy-nilly go back to work. We're recommending we adapt to the size of federal guidelines and do it safely.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that is the message that we keep hearing over and over from different people. We talked to a landscaper from our area. We talked to a woman who does detailing in the Hudsonville area. All of them without work right now. They say they need to put food on the table. They've got to pay their bills, and they want the governor to reopen their businesses, allow people to make safe decisions. And that's why they all gather here today, to make those voices heard. We're going to throw it back to you. For now, reporting live on Capitol Avenue, Heather Walker, News 8.
Another incredible sight in this surreal ordeal as we battle this coronavirus pandemic. The Capitol steps, the scene of a protest. The whole idea here was that folks would stay in their car and participate in this gridlock, but we've seen a lot of folks who are saying they're not doing that. They're here, they're on the Capitol steps, staging a more traditional protest here in front of the Capitol building in Lansing. I want to show you one of the larger displays here, a huge sign that is out in the Capitol lawn. It says, "Security without liberty is called prison." An analogy they're using here to the situation that we have at present with the coronavirus lockdown. We're going to walk up here and give you an idea of the feel some of these people have. There are a number of people here from West Michigan, including some of these folks here that we get a chance to meet earlier today. First of all, tell us your name and what brought you out here.
My name is Joseph Dixon, and I came out here to support the Michigan businesses and stand up for the rights of our fellow Michiganders, and we believe that the governor has overreached and overstepped her rights with our freedoms.
Are you concerned about this virus?
I was in the beginning until I've done my research and found out the realities and the media's overreach on it, and that it's not as serious as they made it out to be, and that's why I am here, because I feel that they are overreaching, overreacting, and crushing our small businesses, crushing our economy.
I see you're wearing a mask, so you appear to have some level of concern.
Yes, well, I have concern. I have just common courtesy for people. I might be here today, I might be a Republican, but I have common sense, and I do have concern and respect for everybody.
What would you say to the governor if she's listening right now?
I would say, Governor, open our economy on May 1st and respect our rights and our freedoms.
All right, that's a little bit of the sentiment we're hearing here. A lot of these folks, a number of them that we've spoken to, are small business owners, or are here on behalf of those folks who say simply they want to see people get back to work. Some more folks here that we might be able to speak with. Sir, what brought you out here? Where are you from?
I'm from Jackson, Michigan. And what brought me out here is I'm a small business owner, and she's putting me out of business.
What type of business do you own?
I own a painting company.
What would be your message if the governor is listening?
To listen to the people. We have common sense. We're not children. We know what's right and what's wrong and how to take care of ourselves. I've had a quadruple bypass. I've had a heart attack, a stroke, and I'm still not afraid to go out in public. It's how you take care of yourself. We're not, like I said, we're not her children.
Do you have any concern at all about this virus? You said you've got some underlying conditions.
I have concerns about it. I have concerns for the people that are, I'm 62, but I call them elderly, sickly, really bad underlying conditions. But if you take care of yourself and follow common sense, stay away from people, you know, not totally stay away, but you have to social distance a little bit. But until this virus runs its course, it's going to stay here. And all we're doing is hiding from it.
Do you have any concern? We've seen a lot of people out here that are obviously, like you, not in your cars. Do you have any concern that this gathering might cause this virus to spread further?
Hell yeah.
It will a little, but I don't think it's to the extent that they're trying to make it out to be. Again, it's a virus. It's got to spread. And until people start getting an immune system to it, it's going to continue to do this.
All right.
And we will never get away from it until we get an immunity to it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All the way from Jackson, one of the small business owners who is here and represented in a crowd of hundreds of people who are gathered here on the Capitol steps. A number of them have signs. One here in the foreground says, "Recall Whitmer now." We see a number of American flags. A lot of those red "Make America Great Again" hats. Folks certainly having a political feeling that goes associated with this situation. But it's quite the sight here on the Capitol steps. It's cold, it has been snowy, but it's not tempered down the spirit and the feeling that these folks have about letting their voices be heard in opposition to the governor's executive orders connected to the coronavirus.
Note, goodly folk, that we see people with American flags both right side up and upside down, protesting peacefully together. It is not hard to imagine that those folks with the upside-down flags might be pro-American, just anti-American government, or at least against the government currently at hand. But note, they're not trying to hit each other over the heads with bike locks or anything like that. Here are links to articles about Operation Gridlock by the Washington Examiner and the Gateway Pundit. 1:50 p.m. More from TV8 News in Lansing.
Mentioned motorboats and landscapers, gardeners, and that kind of thing. They're all represented here today. At least a couple of people pulling their boats here. We've seen RVs, we've seen big trucks, we've seen almost any type of vehicle you can think of, and all kinds of signs that says, "We the people are fed up with tyranny." And another one went by just a minute ago and said, "Open Michigan back up." So all of this protest is all about the stay home, stay safe order. Part of the protest is no doubt about what some people see as an inequity between those people who are allowed to work and those people who are not allowed to work. Even people that are more or less in the same business, construction for example, depending on where they're working, may or may not be able to work. So there are a lot of questions that go along with this uncharted territory. And today, this large and very loud, using their horns frequently, group of people have been trying to express their displeasure. Now, what is the net outcome? They already know that they have some supporters in the legislature, but the governor is largely in charge of these orders. Will she do anything to change them? There's no indication of that, and we don't know that there'll be any changes at all until the end of the month when this current stay-at-home order is set to expire. We'll continue to be here and monitor the situation live in Lansing. Rick Alvin, News 8.
3:17 p.m. USA Today reports on this. Also, April 15th, there was a protest at the Kentucky State Capitol in Frankfort. There's more about these protests on April 15th in Michigan and in Kentucky. See the webpage.
Tyranny kills! Tyranny kills! Tyranny kills! Tyranny kills! Tyranny kills! Tyranny kills!
Governor Beshear's 5 o'clock update brought out dozens of protesters calling on the governor to reopen Kentucky.
While Governor Andy Beshear spent time updating the state, outside a different group wanting those updates to end and Kentucky to get back to work.
So right now I'm struggling with sourcing inventory and keeping that running because everything else is shut down.
Everyone here from a different background, small business owners, members of Kentucky's furloughed population, and those who are feeling the financial impact. However, their goal was the same: send a message that Governor Andy Beshear, where they believe he needs to back down. A majority of the group says they applauded his actions at first, but it's dragging on too long.
I understand the need for caution, but I think it's gone way past, anything reasonable.
The gathering was organized and advertised on Facebook as a social distance rally.
No more fear! No more fear!
But that all changed when protesters learned the governor was delivering his message just on the other side of this window. That's when the group's social distancing idea was no longer to be seen. The loud chants were broadcast across the state. The governor forced to acknowledge the group.
There's some noise in the background. We do have some folks up here in Kentucky today, and everybody should be able to express their opinion that believes we should reopen Kentucky immediately right now. Folks, that would kill people.
When asking protesters if being in a crowd was a good idea, they said it's another reason they don't see eye to eye with the governor.
A lot of fresh air out here. I don't think I'm endangering anyone, and I think the governor is endangering a lot of people by not letting families work.
Kentucky State Police circled the Capitol but never intervened with that protest. Pro-life groups were also at the protest, calling on the governor to order abortion clinics to close.
Same day, protest in St. George, Utah. The walk for freedom, as it were. KSL reports St. George residents protest governor's stay-at-home directive. Here's more about Michigan's Operation Gridlock from the Daily Mail and The Sun. This Sun article does include this tweet by Donald J. Trump. I love Michigan. One of the reasons we're doing such a great job for them during this horrible pandemic. Yet your governor, Gretchen Whitmer, is way in over her head. She doesn't have a clue, likes blaming everyone for her own ineptitude. Hashtag MAGA. Here is an article about the protest in Raleigh, North Carolina the same day. See episode 1 of the series for more on that. They highlight the woman who was arrested. So, for those of you who have been asking me, but if the police aren't arresting people, how can you say that their rights are being violated if they're just there and they're doing it, okay? No, as we've seen already, and we shall see a lot more of, people peacefully protesting have been arrested, and we can expect more. This is a violation of their constitutional rights, and there are people out there who are buying into recent media propaganda that somehow this or that law or directive or emergency order somehow supersedes the U.S. Constitution. This is not true. And let us remember that the penalty for such treason could be life imprisonment or the death penalty. I think it bears repeating here what we went into at greater length in episode 1, that the Raleigh police announced on Twitter that a constitutional right is a non-essential activity, by which they mean they have the authority to violate people's right to peaceably assemble and to petition the government. Here are more reports about Michigan's Operation Gridlock by Fox News.
Let's go to Michigan and Grady Trimble, who's got a report on that protest against the lockdown in that state. What do you got, Grady?
It is. Well, the protest doesn't officially start for more than an hour, but you can see people gathered here in front of the state capitol building. But the real protest, the main protest, is planned for the streets. Everybody's going to stay in their cars so they can maintain social distancing, and this is their way of protesting the stay-at-home order that Governor Gretchen Whitmer passed or put into place last week. They say it just goes too far. For example, you can go on a sailboat, but you can't go on a motorboat. You can go to a big box store, but they have to close off the areas that sell things like paint and the garden section and furniture. And so they're planning to take to the streets here, and they have signs like this on their cars that say, "Hands off our citizens." Again, this starts at noon, but you can see the enthusiasm from these people here. They're already lining the streets, honking, making noise, trying to make it clear to the governor that this order just goes too far. She has said she supports the right of free speech of these protesters. She knows people are angry, but her whole point is to try to stop the spread of this. She just hopes that they maintain social distancing while they're protesting today. Stuart?
All right, good report, Grady. There's quite a few people out there, I can see. Grady Trimble right in the middle of it. Thank you.
Real clear politics.
Well, I'll tell you what, this protest called Operation Gridlock was supposed to start here at the state capitol at noon, but we were here about 9 o'clock, and I'll tell you, this thing was going on strong. So let me just show you how big this is. This is Capitol Avenue right in front of the Michigan Capitol. But take a look there, all the way down, as far as the eyes can see. Jeff, turn around this way. This is Michigan Avenue, and you can see all of the cars so far away. I'll tell you what, why don't we just go over here? We might as well go this way. Talk about gridlock and loud. The substance of this protest, I'll get out of the street, is that they don't like, many people here do not like Governor Gretchen Whitmer's executive orders, in particular the ones that say they cannot work. Also, they're not happy about not being able to landscape, go boating, and you can see from the signs around here, a lot of supporters here, impeach Whitmer, a lot of Trump signs, a lot of people from around, I met people from all over the state here. Now, it was supposed to start at noon. What time is it? It hasn't even officially begun yet. But for what you can see here, these people are not going to be leaving anytime soon. So, as you... Recall Whitmer! All right, so... Yeah, you can take a look at it. Again, this is also put on by the Conservative Coalition. Not a lot of fans of the governor here. Again, they're posting pretty much the executive orders. Now, we talked to one person that is organizing this event, Anthony DiMaggio. Here's what he said.
The Constitution gives us the right to make the choice. It is not for governors to make decisions about what we're supposed to do and keep us locked in and sequestered in our homes.
All right, so again, you can see people here with their flags, their loudspeakers, there's music, flags, signs, and again, this is one of the largest rallies that I've seen in Lansing in a very, very long time. Operation Gridlock, you can see it is Gridlock in front of the state capitol. I'll throw it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Charlie, I don't know if
Sherry,
you can hear me, but how long are they planning to continue this today? How long will this last?
I think it's going to last quite a while here. First of all, you can't get out of Lansing right now. I'm glad we got here early because all of the cars, they're pretty much at a gridlock right now. You really can't move. There's so many people here. The official rally doesn't even start for about a half an hour. But like I said, they started at 9. By 10, I mean, it was pretty much gridlock. One other thing I should mention, obviously people are not 6 feet apart. Not too many of them have masks on. And I asked them why, and they said, these are our rights. They say they understand there is a health crisis out there, but they wish that, according to them, that they had more, that the governor had more faith in them, that they're not gonna do something silly to get infected by the coronavirus. But as you can see, not a lot of social distancing going on here. We're gonna be here for a while. In Lansing. In front of the Capitol, I'll send it back to you guys.
The Daily Wire and the Associated Press. At this point in our webpage, we discuss in detail the question of whether or not ambulances were blocked from the emergency room at Sparrow Hospital, not far from the Capitol, by Operation Gridlock, Michigan on April 15th.
The cars were blocking one of our hospitals, so an ambulance literally wasn't able to get into the bay for 10 minutes.
You can read it all and look at all the evidence on our webpage if you wish, but that would double the length of this video, so I will summarize as such. It does seem that Operation Gridlock, Michigan, despite what the hospital spokesperson reportedly said, did block, or at least slow down, access to the emergency room at Sparrow Hospital on East Michigan Avenue.
Absolutely no one up here is in support of this because they're blocking the ambulance entrance.
At any rate, seeing how much traffic there was in the area, it should not at all surprise us if access to the emergency room was blocked or at least seriously hindered. April 16th, 9:57 a.m., CNBC reports Facebook will start warning people who like or react to fake coronavirus news. Just want to give a little context here, folks. 10:14 a.m., the Daily Mail puts out this. Protesters in MAGA hats and flying Confederate flags swarm Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Utah, Wyoming, New York, and Virginia to demonstrate quote-unquote tyrannical and quote-unquote unconstitutional lockdown orders that are quote-unquote worse than the virus.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, at one point it was only 110,000, and even then it was kind of silly.
Yeah. So I forget what they down-regulated to 60,000 or something like this.
It's scary, and our livelihoods are at stake. This isn't just this is my livelihood. We put everything into our businesses, and it's really scary what's happening right now.
Here's more about that protest in Richmond, Virginia on April 15th by NBC 12 News.
We begin tonight with Henry Grabb, who has more on today's protest at the state capitol. Henry.
Carla, good evening from a very quiet Capitol Square right now. The protesters left
not very terribly long after this entire thing got started. 3 groups put all this together today, this protest event. They are really trying to send a message to Governor Ralph Northam saying that his executive order on keeping non-essential businesses closed through May 8th just simply is going too far. About 30 people, including families, gathered inside Capitol Square near the governor's mansion where we are, but even more ended up outside the gates after Capitol Police shut down the public space here, barring more people from entering. Police also had to remind the protesters to maintain social distancing guidelines during the event, not handing out food or giving out hugs as they were hoping to. Those protesting say Ralph Northam has gone too far with that executive order, and yesterday's extension was just the icing on the cake here. These people want government restrictions lifted by May 1st.
I'm out here today because I don't think that the government really has any business telling us what we can and cannot do with our bodies, with our persons, in public spaces. I mean, we're not harming anyone else. I'm not going and hitting people. I'm just walking around.
End the Lockdown VA, one of the groups organizing this event, said in a release to us yesterday they expected about 1,000 people here. That did not come to fruition, and we can also report no arrests were made.
All right, now, Birmingham, Alabama. The Daily Mail reports Alabama barbershop will defy stay-at-home orders and reopen tomorrow because business will be ruined if it stays closed. So they're referring to April 17th. Wishing them the best of luck. This concludes this episode. More to come in the next episode. Liberty, integrity, honor, justice, truth, love, and laughter.